Hey now, welcome to the Dirty Side of the Track, America's leading Formula One podcast. That's Rob over there. Me? I'm Brian. Welcome everybody. We're happy you joined us this week. How are you, Rob? What's new?
I'm good. I'm just watching you kind of be all discombobulated because you've had to leave your office and you're downstairs in your basement and none of the controls are in the normal places. And it's just
The screen,
fantastic watching you do mental gymnastics going,
the
where's
screen is
the
so much
screen?
smaller. Oh,
Yeah, I'm good. We are recording this midweek. There's no race this weekend. Brian's got some out of town plans, so we thought let's record early. Thankfully, there's been a bit of news this week, so unless anything monumental breaks on Thursday and Friday or Saturday, then we've probably got it covered. Um, so we'll take a look at news and social. We'll do a cleanup of Mexico Fantasy. So we'll open up the Mexico Fantasy vault rather than the video vault, being as you haven't had a
interestingly,
chance
the
to.
the door sounds the same.
It does, yeah, it does. Because you've been it's Wednesday afternoon. You haven't had a chance to dine out on Cheetos all evening and watch YouTube. So,
I have not, sadly
and
not.
then we've got, well, this is Brian's brainchild, but it's sort of a little bit of a repeat of something we did 2 years ago, which we'll kind of get to when we get there. We're going to draft a new team. The 12th team is coming next year. So not just Cadillac, but a 12th team's coming. And we're only going to be able to staff the driver lineup and reserve drivers from the six current rookies. So stay tuned for that little debate. And then we'll finish on a Brazil preview. So how does
Awesome.
that sound?
Sounds great. Let's hop into the news, my friend. What do you have to start us with?
Well, to start is the thing that we were kind of seeing Nate Saunders tweet live when we were recording last week, so we didn't really get a chance to dive into it and see it, and it's pretty awful, really. It's the two marshals that ran across the track right in front of Liam Lawson, and we had no clue what was going on. We were like both looking at this tweet going, when did this happen? Was this formation lap? What was going on? So everyone's probably had a chance to see it by now. It happened on the third lap, so it was racing conditions. It wasn't the formation lap. Two marshals ran across to get some Nick debris off the track.
The best kind of debris, the
Oh, the
Dutch
best
Nick
kind.
debris.
And ran right across the path of Lawson,
Oh my
and the
God.
onboard was awful. We've now seen the team radio that came through. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Did you just see that? I could have, naughty word that Brian almost said last week, killed them.
That was horrible. I mean, there had been no mention of it during coverage, and maybe that's on purpose. And we get Nate's tweet, which he retweeted someone else's video of the onboard. It is horrible, and then you see it from the stands, and it doesn't get any better. You see other fans' perspective. It's just what you think it is. It's two people running across the track right in front of a charging F1 car. You're like, oh my God, how did that happen? And so the FIA has put out a statement. Following a turn one incident, race control was informed that debris was present on the track at the apex of the corner. On lap 3, marshals were alerted and placed on standby to enter the track and recover the debris once all cars had passed. As soon as it became apparent that Lawson had pitted, the instructions to dispatch marshals were rescinded and a double yellow was waved at that area. We're still investigating what occurred after that point. I know what happened. You had two people run out on the track, and they almost got hit by Liam as he left the pits and started his lap. Is what happened. But man, that it was really scary. Like just honestly, really scary. And people on Twitter were sending notes about past incidents and past disasters and other things. Thankfully, no one was hurt. But man, we got to tighten that up so we don't see that happen anymore.
Yeah, agree. What the FIA really need to look into is the one sentence in that statement, which is the instructions to dispatch the marshals were rescinded. Okay, rescinded where? Just in race control and they didn't bother telling anyone?
Right.
Or, they got to look at how did that. Something broke down in the communication there because somebody up on high thinks that was rescinded to not send the marshals onto the track. Liam Lawson will vouch for the fact that they definitely were on track. So,
And were they already gone? I mean, had they already run out and then it was rescinded? It's too late. I mean, we don't know. Well, they'll
yeah,
do an
yeah,
investigation, and I'm sure we'll probably never find out what really happened. But as long as they fix it going forward, I think that's what we all want.
yeah, exactly. And in talking of investigations and poring over facts and looking at things, Felipe Massa's lawsuit over his 2008 title began this week. He was in London High Court Wednesday, which is today as we record, for the opening day of a 3-day hearing. So actually, maybe the time we publish this, the it's already been heard and we know what's happening. But right now, we know is it was day one of a 3-day hearing where he's seeking £64 million, which in dollars is more. 90 something maybe, from Bernie Ecclestone, Formula One, and governing body the FIA. So we'll see how that one goes. In terms of, I was going to try and make a link between a legal case and penalty points, but I can't.
No, well,
Can't
but
make it.
hold on. Just, I mean,
Oh,
it's interesting
okay.
here on this. It wasn't his title. He didn't win the title that year, right?
No,
Lewis did, and the points from Crashgate and other areas, I think, is what he's saying. It was sort of rigged, and I want the money that I would have earned and had I won the title. I don't think he's asking for
correct.
Lewis's first title, right? I think that's
No, I think that's what everybody jumped all over. I mean, there was, I don't know if it still formed part of it. When we first talked about this like a few months ago when it was bubbling, it was that he was after the title as well. He
I think
believed it
that's
was his.
not part of it
But
anymore, is my
no, I
understanding.
don't, yeah, to be honest, I don't care. Um,
Oh man! And speaking of things we care about, our penalty points. Did that work? That didn't work, did it?
yes, brilliant. Well done. Smooth operator. So Max can breathe a little easier going into Brazil. He was heading into Mexico with 9 penalty points on his license. So, for anybody that's not aware of this, you get given penalty points for various infringements. And if you rack up 12, you miss one race, I believe. One
One race. Yep,
race?
the
Yeah,
Magnussen rule.
that's right. So, but now as we head to Brazil, a bunch of them have expired. So the 2 penalty points he got in Mexico last year for forcing Norris off the track twice have expired, as has a safety car infringement at Brazil last year. So 3 of them have expired. He's down to 6. He can basically, if he really wants to go for the title now, he just can just do what he wants in Brazil. They're saying
Just run into
full
George a
on
few more
elbows mode.
times. The FIA has confirmed that there were no spending breaches of the cost cap in 24 after it reviewed the entire grid. We did have, though, and I think if we didn't reference it, I know for sure we've been talking about it on the Discord. Aston Martin had a minor procedural breach, and I had read somewhere it was about signatures being completed in time. And so I don't know if that's accurate because it wasn't from the most robust news reporting agency I saw that. But regardless of the actual minor procedural breach, everyone was in alignment with staying under the cap, and Aston Martin took a small penalty or fine, not in terms of next year's cap, not in terms of sporting, just because they didn't get some procedure done in time. And I do think this sounds just dumb enough for it to be someone didn't sign something on the right day by noon or something like that.
Forgot to sign it, turned it in, and one of the pages they forgot to initial, like a rental car agreement, where
Like
it was
this,
like
it was
a
DocuSign
gazillion.
was sitting in someone's inbox for a day, and like, well, I didn't see it. It went to spam. Oh, procedural breach.
I mean, this is a bit disappointing because we want the FIA to leave some smoke trails of they're investigating some team that may have spent more, and then all the conspiracy theories can come about how it was McLaren on. Oh, it's Red Bull. Look, I've tied all of this back and combobulated the stars and seen that the exact moment that Red Bull's fortunes came up this season is probably when they spent too much money. But
Do you
we
do
don't
you
get
remember
any of
the
that.
episodes we worked on where we were trying to discuss if it was catering? Does that mean that you then used the money for catering that that you didn't use for catering, but the stuff we went over, you used it on car performance, so it actually did matter it was catering? Those are the days.
Oh, the heady days of conspiracy theories about the cost cap, but no such tomfoolery this year because everyone was clean apart from Aston Martin with a late signature. Um, Last
Or
little thing I
whatever.
found
May
is
may not be a late signature.
yeah,
That's
well,
my
let's just go with it. We haven't
yeah.
got anything else. Let's just roll with the signature. Um, Last little thing I found was we talked about this a while back. Bernie Ecclestone had sold like 69 Grand Prix cars for what was mooted to be around 500 million pounds worth of cars, so lots more dollars worth of cars. He's gone. He's obviously clearing house and just decided he wants just to be like Scrooge McDuck and dive into money rather than having the actual material things. Because now he's sold one super yacht and put another one up for sale. It's not known. It is not known who purchased the super yacht or how much it went for, but it was valued last year at 17 million with an annual running cost of 1.7 million. Imagine being so rich you can spend on a per annum basis 1.7 million just to keep your boat ticking over.
I mean, I'd just like to know the fact that it's a 10% of the value of the yacht is what it costs on an annual basis to run it. So now when I go buy my yacht for $5,000 one day, I'll have to save $500 a year to run the thing.
I can imagine you get the tiny little 5,000 boat and you can say, "Come on, Rob, I'm picking you up. We're off to Monaco."
Yeah, exactly. Put on your life jacket. This thing's sinking. And then fantasy, as we referenced from Mexico last week, was calculating while we recorded, and some really great jobs by a bunch of people. In the top 10, we had Gabe with Kachiga in the set number 2 spot, Bartek with Debiaski, Andy, Tails I Win, also tied for 2. Peter in, oh boy, Pito in 4th. Good job, Peter. Sorry for messing that up. Patrick, Box 1 in 5th, tied with me, Dirty Side Sap. In 7th, we had Aussie Rules F1 Mark. Good job, Mark. Octavio, Box 1 in 8th. And then we have Formula Fantasy Hub Rob in 9th, tied with the Kurdish boy Dayhen. And those were our top 10 in Mexico, which leaves us for the current leaderboard, the top 3, as we get close to the end. Gavin, 44th gear in 1st place, ahead of Patrick, Box 1, and Dayhen, the Kurdish boy Dayhen, in 3rd. So great job for that podium, and good job by me with the 5th placer there. I was quite proud of myself. Yeah, that's fantasy. And we didn't do sound effects for the fantasy vault, and I just realized that after we promised we would do it. So moving on, should we talk about the rookie draft?
Oh, I thought you were going to close it and, just trying to sort of bail on that one and kind of go, oh, I must have left the vault open while I was putting the
If
fantasy results in.
if I told you that I can't see the window with the sounds at the same time as the other windows, and then I forgot, that'll just have to suffice for this week.
Hey, at least you're honest.
Total,
Right.
always.
Okay. So as we alluded to at the beginning, we we always try to make up something in a non-race week. So this week it's our rookie draft, crafting a team out of pure rookies. Brian called me up yesterday and said, "Look, there's 6 rookies there. If you had to form a team and you were only going to have 4 spots, so 2 drivers, a reserve driver and a test driver, who are you putting in each seat and which 2 are you kicking to the side?" I was like, "Oh, that's good," and it got me. Before we jump into this, it got me reminiscing over an episode we did 2 years ago. We had Paul on, good old pit lane Paul, and we drafted the Dirty Side Racing team. We started off with a livery. We settled on a black and white livery, the same as our logo, where the only sponsors we were allowed were beer, but they were only allowed to be white text because we wanted the pure black and white rule. And then we kind of went, oh, hang on a minute. Beer may not be allowed, a bit like smoking. So we decided we would make all of the brands look like the right font, but not say the words. So written instead of cause on the engine cover was cool, but with the same font. We had this is inspired by me and Paul being Arsenal fans. Their nickname are the Gunners. So we've got the Guinness font with the harp in front of it. And it says Gunners, but it looks like Guinness. It was genius. It was
It
absolutely
is.
genius.
It honestly
I
is.
did listen. I re-listened to the episode. We did spend too much time talking about the liveries, but
Well,
anyway,
then let's not do it again on one we're not
we
doing one
then
for.
well, we're not doing one today, and then we settled on a driver lineup of Max and Alex, with a team principal of Toto and Gunther as his assistant. So that was Team Dirty Side. So that was when we did it as if we had no hold bars, no rules. Who would you put to make your perfect team? There we go. It's a good episode. Go listen to it. It's from a couple of years back. Right. How are we going to run down this one? So
I am so
the
excited
rookies
for this. By the way, can I just say,
the rookies for consideration,
yes,
just so that everyone's aware. We are going to be putting into our team 4 of Liam Lawson, Gabriel Bortoletto, Isaac Hajar, Kimi Antonelli, Oliver Behrman, and Franco Colapinto. And to build the drama, we will start at the bottom of the rung on. I mean, we think reserve driver is a higher level than test driver, so we're going to start with test driver.
yeah, reserve driver goes to the track. You're the backup if someone gets sick, and often it's the test and reserve driver. But we're going to separate those duties, as some teams do, to the test driver. Who works on all the new components, does the simulator, tests out the car and the components before they get put on the main car. So yeah, test driver first. I am really excited for this. Like, the idea was, we have talked so much. I mean, 30% of the grid are rookies, and really, honestly, in my opinion, only one has really disappointed for most of the year. All the rest have had high moments at points, and high moments where they've looked better than established drivers. So that's why I'm so excited. So for Team SAP, my team, and I'm just going to tell you this in advance, my team does not. We are a hybrid of a McLaren Red Bull situation. What I mean by that is, I'm going for 2 super talented number 1 drivers, but we are not doing team orders. We will prioritize the number 1 driver if need be, but we ain't doing it from the beginning. We're not building the car around him. We're not like doing a Michael Schumacher, telling his teammates to move over in the second or third race of the year. We ain't doing that either. But we are most certainly not fixing disparity in pit stop times and things like that. So Team SAP does not believe in
I
that.
was
But
say,
for
good to know. Who's your test driver then?
my test driver, number 4, Gabriel Bortoleto.
Oh, okay. We hadn't even discussed the format of this, so let's do both of ours and then debate.
Yeah.
But let's then we can like argue over what the final dirty side one's going to be. So you're saying Bort. My test driver, um, is Lawson.
And I will say, for those who are yelling at the headphones you're wearing, we know Liam had like 11 races before the season started, but most publications consider him a rookie because he wasn't named as the driver of the team before the season started for either of his rides. So we're counting him as a rookie. And you're giving it to Liam, huh? You're saying
Mm,
Liam is your test driver.
I am indeed, yeah.
Is
So
there, do you have, can I ask, is Bortoletto on your team or did you leave him
I,
off?
I'm not giving it away right now, Brian. I refuse to. I need to build the suspense
Okay.
to so we can reveal which two each of us are basically kicking to the side and saying you're not in our teams.
Well, it'll be pretty
Well, I
obvious
think they're
after I
going to be
name
too
my
different,
next
maybe,
one.
but
I think, well, they definitely are because I can tell you Liam's not on my team.
ooh,
Ooh.
well, way to ruin it. And after I say, well, let's not ruin it, you jump straight in with 2 feet. So there we go.
Reserve driver on Team SAP, none other than Kimi Antonelli.
Ooh, okay. Kimmy is your reserve driver.
Yes.
Okay, so the mighty Ortoletto is my reserve driver.
So I like that. I debated Bort as Gabby as my reserve too. I think he's really shown a lot this year. He's grown. He's gotten better as the year's gone on. He's incredibly talented. I think it's pretty obvious. I think that's a great call. I don't know why you put Liam
So,
as your test driver, but all right.
well, okay. So who's your number two? Who does number two work for?
Ollie Behrman.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not
Okie
using
dokie pokey.
recency bias from his 4th place in Mexico. I feel like he's rough around the edges yet. He'll still make the dive bomb on Yuki at Coda, where you're like, well, hey, what are you doing? That's a video game move. Don't do that. He'll still, run through the red flags at Silverstone, and he'll still, make some mistakes here or there. But I feel like his racecraft, just his raw talent that is developing, is real. And so for me, I think it's kind of a high upside, slight risk in my number 2 spot. But given that Kimi has had a far better car and has struggled with the European non-European thing, he's gone flat in the middle of the season. I feel like Ollie's grown throughout the year as well. So for me, I got Ollie as my number 2.
Okay. Um, this could very quickly become very obvious then because my number two driver is one Oliver Behrman.
Do you agree with my rationale? So at least you don't have to reread
For
all of
lots
that,
of your
basically.
rationale, and I'd even go one step further and kind of say that he, he's impressed me more than Kimmy, particularly because Kimmy, out of all of these, is I think in by far and away the best car. He's in a
Yeah.
race-winning car because George has won a race in a Mercedes, and therefore, if I look at that, I don't know that he's super talented. I think I'm just not sure he's top two seats talented out of this group of six. So
Well, I agree. I put him as
I'll
my
probably get
reserve.
shouted at.
Yeah. So then my number 1, and we may be tied here as well, Isaac
Yeah.
Hadjar. So you got Isaac too?
Okay. Yeah, I got Isaac too. So let's both talk. Let's both talk about this kid. I mean, from where he started at the beginning of the year, crying in Australia and looking like the world was on his shoulders and he wasn't going to do anything. He has constantly punched above the weight of that car. I think. Liam's been on a little bit of a yo-yo effect, which I can totally understand because
Yep.
of
Yep.
kind of the Red Bull thing, which is why I didn't cut him from my team. I gave him a spot because I think he has got more to prove. Liam has, but I did kind of count that against him, that kind of that form. But Isaac's been in there. He's had ridiculous things where he's been like right up at the top of the leaderboards. He's out qualified Max, not qualified, maybe out position Max a couple of times at least in practice. FP3, maybe even some of the early Qs. but he's definitely out qualified the other Red Bull car many, many times.
Yes.
So, and everyone's talking about that he should be the one next to Max next year. And other than I worry that it might ruin him, but maybe it won't with Laurent there now. It's just brilliant. I just love the kid.
Plus,
Love him.
he waved to us in Canada.
And of course, I was letting you take that bit.
Yeah, I mean, he turned around and he said, "Hey, it's the guys from the dirty side." Um, so we both have Isaac as our number one driver and Ollie as our number two. We split. We both have Bortoletto somewhere in our test driver, reserve driver spots. I have Kimmy in my reserve driver with Bortoletto behind him. You have Bortoletto as your reserve driver with Liam
I
behind
do.
him.
I
Neither
think
one of us
Bortoletto
have
to
Franco.
me, neither of us are Franco. You've kicked Liam out, and I've kicked Kimmy out.
I'm surprised you kicked Kimmy out. I am
Um,
surprised by that one.
as I was going through the list, unfortunately, sorry, Franco, but you never even entered the discussion of being in. Like literally, it was 5 into 4 for me because Franco was never even in the discussion in my head. Um, knew it was going to be Isaac and Ollie for the two. Well, I didn't actually. Ollie, I was really, really close to Bortoletto. Bortoletto, something's happened with him where we mocked him a bit last year for driving a not at the beginning of the year for driving a tractor around
Right.
and he just wasn't doing anything. Then he just seemed to settle, and all of a sudden he's out qualifying Hulk, he's out resulting Hulk, he's getting points, and it's like that Sauber didn't suddenly get good overnight. I know the Hulk has done well in it as well this year, and don't get me wrong, they're not like they were last year when they were needed points on the last race of the season or whatever it was to save their pointless season. But I just think there's something more raw in Bortoletto, and I was so close to putting Bortoletto instead of Behrman, but a British passport wouldn't allow me, and and B, I think Ollie is the more finished article if you can be finished as a rookie than Gabby. So that was what just tipped me over the edge.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's fair. And yes, when we were preparing for this, Rob and I were, discussing this idea. We were talking about the drivers, and at first I said, "What if we just ranked them 6-1?" And then we went through the drivers, and both of us came up with five, and we couldn't even remember Franco, which is just terrible. And like
That is bad. That's I didn't realize you were going to tell everyone that.
well, that's all right. I mean, he seems like a perfectly fine guy, but yeah, we didn't have him on here. So fascinating. I am surprised that you did not have Kimmy as a tester reserve, but that's fine. That's your decision. It's wrong. I mean, I'm clearly right. He's worthy of being a reserve driver.
I feel stupid looking at it, but I'll still go back to my rationale, which is that, like, so could I put him ahead of Isaac? No. Ollie? No. Bortoletto, no, I couldn't. And then I'm letting down really just to Lawson or Kimmy. And I will be honest, the only thing that's tipped it there is Lawson's had a rough deal. He's shown some sort of character to bounce back after this kind of promotion, relegation, and then watching his teammate Isaac rip it up. And then Lawson has beaten Hajar a couple of times recently. And him is just struggling to make an impression in a car, which is so much better than anything these guys are driving. So I'm like, I'm going to give it to Lawson for, you know, squeezing the last bit of juice out of the lemon or whatever the phrase is. I don't know what the phrase is. But...
Well, I'm happy you made lemonade out of that. You know what? I can't wait to see these guys next year. I think the kind of the questions we'll see is who's in that second Red Bull seat. And then the other part, which is fascinating to me, is there's rumors Franco will be announced soon. Probably, hopefully, while I'm away for the next couple of days. And then you have to like put an asterisk in the notes to the pod or something that we didn't miss the news. But I mean, it just, yeah. Franco had such a meteoric rise. And then we watch it now. It's actually kind of Nick DeVries, except he still has a seat.
So come on, what's your reasons for kicking Lawson to the curb? I've told you my reasons for kicking Kimmy to the curb. What's your
Just
Lawson angle?
general inconsistency. I mean, I just feel
Okay.
like he's shown brilliance at times, and we've seen him really do well. Whether it was in his spots the last year or now this year, once he got settled at least into RB. But yeah, I just feel like general inconsistency. And of the two drivers on the grid today, who, if you said, who does everyone want to stay away from in a corner because they don't know if they're going to act rationally, it's Lance Stroll and Liam Lawson. And so
Yeah,
that's why I
true.
kind of look at it like, can I trust him in that car to bring it back? I mean, Team SAP, the 12th team on the grid, we have a tight budget over here, buddy. I can't be
So
replacing, front wings every 5 minutes.
you didn't mention budget when we were doing this.
Well, yeah.
Jeepers. Okay, I'll do you a deal. I'll do you a deal because we're obviously aligned on our driver lineup. That was fairly obvious. I will agree to kick Lawson out of Team Dirty Side as long as Bort gets the reserve driver and Kimmy gets the test driver.
Done. Sign me up. I can take
Oh,
that.
there it is then. So the Dirty Side rookie team will be spearheaded by Isaac and Behrman, with Bortoletto coming along and doing a Bottas and hoping for a drive and waving at fans like us and actually not getting a drive. Maybe Bortoletto will drive a mullet, grow a mullet, sorry, and stash and can kind of do all sorts of hilarity in the pit lane. But he'll be there at least while we will have Kimmy back at the factory doing simulator stuff and helping the team out while, sorry, Lawson and Colapinto stand outside clawing at the doors of Dirty Side Towers trying to get in.
Yep, you'll have to wait for the next all rookie team to be announced as the 13th team on the grid.
Wow, I can't believe we just completely nailed that, and nobody listening will have any argument about that whatsoever because it's completely factual and amazing.
Take it up with us on the Discord or in social. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Seriously, we would, because this is the kind of stuff that I love about F1. Just you got 6 rookies, and like I said, with the exception of Colapinto, I feel like all of them had some pretty good highs this year. And more often than not, you see rookies really take a lot of time to develop or maybe never develop. And I'm willing to bet we're staring at 3-4 drivers who will be on the grid for a long time.
Okay, real just out there, didn't prep you for this, just popped into my head.
Oh boy.
Out of those
Oh
6,
boy.
is there a future World Drivers title winner in that 6?
No.
Oh, you didn't even need to think.
No. It's so
Wow.
rare to become a driver's champion. And we're
No, I
sitting
know,
here
but
with
like we got
people who came on the grid like Lando and like, will he ever? Charles, will he ever? Charles is amazing. He's been amazing forever. I don't see these guys quite on Charles' level, and Charles ain't never going to win, and he's at Ferrari. How about you? You see a driver's championship here?
um maybe I'll tell you my outside bet is that if Isaac succeeds in the second Red Bull seat and then eventually is the successor to Max as the number 1 driver in the Red Bull, then he's potentially in one of the best cars on the grid. And I do think he's got the skill to pull it off. Will he? Yeah, like you said, there are a lot of people that won't be retiring and will be hanging around for a long time, and all the cars will be different next year in 26, and maybe Ferrari can finally give Charles or Lewis something that can win a race, and McLaren ain't going anywhere, and Max won't retire for a while. So, yeah, all those things probably say no, but Isaac would be the one that I would say is on the right path at the moment, as long as the expected transition to Red Bull main team doesn't set him back like it has everyone else who's gone
Everyone
now.
else. Hey, so I have one question for you then, unprepared. And this may be the same answer for us. Who wins the most races of these rookies in their entire career?
Ooh. Oh, I like that one. That's the same yet subtly different as mine.
Very
Actually, completely
different.
different.
Yeah.
Who wins the most? Who wins the most?
Assuming someone
Shall
in
I
there
just keep?
wins
Shall I
one.
just keep repeating the question until my brain can give me an
Yeah.
answer? Who
Hey, the
wins
question,
the
Rob,
most,
is just in
Brian?
case you're curious, who wins the most races in their entire career?
Oh, so in terms of like becoming number 1 and standing on the top podium step, the most in their
Who's going to do
career,
that the
yeah,
most times? Yeah.
right, as in more than everyone else.
All right. Answer the question.
Um, Probably still Isaac.
I agree. That's why I didn't want to build it up too much, because we both have him as number 1. We both believe he's that talented. Now, if you
We're both
told me
fanboying over him because he waved at us.
100%. That's the way to our heart. If you want America's number 1 podcast to back you unequivocally forever, just wave one time. I could see, though, in all seriousness, any
Probably
of our
Behrman.
3 drivers. I could see Behrman, I could see Bortoletto, and I could see Kimmy. I think Kimmy is better than we're giving him credit for. I just don't think it's been the best year for him. I think we may see some really good stuff out of Kimmy yet. Bortoletto and Behrman are both rising in terms of talent. Like, they're getting better. If you look, maybe not race by race, but if you look in blocks of 4 or 5 races, each block is better than the last. And that's a great sign to have. And as their cars improve, I mean, you got a guy in a Haas and a guy in a Sauber, and they're getting points. I mean, that's
Well, so
crazy.
this is my view on Kimmy. Kimmy, I honestly believe, is very talented. Toto isn't going after this kid if he's just sort of all right. He can see something in him. And maybe right now we're a little bit blinded by the fact that we're not all seeing it because it's not really happening for him. Maybe he's thrust into the spotlight a little bit too soon. The others are kind of earning their stripes in cars that are expected to finish at the back of the grid, and every time they drag them into a points position, every time Behrman goes in, like gets so excited if he might get a podium like he did in Mexico, it's like, wow, these guys are really like we feel they're outperforming their cars. They're maybe they're not, but we feel like it because it's what's a Haas doing up there? What's the Racing Bulls doing up there? And then I think we feel the opposite way for Kimi because it's like, oh, only one Mercedes is really up there challenging for a win. And I know we saw his only podium in Canada, but that has been the one. And it's
Yeah.
like maybe Kimi needs to. Did he need to have? Okay, here's another random question for you. Has Kimi suffered by someone like the standing or the racecraft experience of a Lewis leaving the camp and not having that kind of mentor there? And I'm not because George isn't that same kind of character. He's not that kind of person. With yes, he has race wins, but do you think a Kimi is better being alongside a Carlos Sainz or a Max Verstappen or a Lewis Hamilton or a Charles, somebody with a lot of experience behind them to bring him through, or should he have started at a different team and kind of earned his stripes a bit more?
I mean, that's a great question. I would actually say having a comparison, a teammate who is, entrenched as a number one driver for the team. Because yes, I know Lewis left for George to become the number one driver, and a kid took over next to him. But Toto believed in him as a number one driver. You don't put a kid next to your driver and hope he turns into a number one. He's a race winner. And winning a
Yeah.
race is not easy in F1. So for me, I would put George in the entrenched number one driver of a main team. And to put a kid, a rookie, next to that, I think is hard. Whereas you look at everyone else, Isaac's racing against Liam. He's racing against a rookie in a car that ain't that great. So when he drags it into the points, we really don't have a real good yardstick for what that car can do because we don't know. And then Ollie is racing against Esty. And Esteban is a fine driver. Would you call him an entrenched number one at a leading team? Definitely not ever. And he's a good driver, so it's a good yardstick, but we just don't know. And that's a bad car as well. So I think there's more variability in the crappier your car is. The more it's variable on when it performs in certain tracks and when it performs in certain whatever. Same goes for Bortoletto to a T with Hulkenberg. Same idea. He's a good driver. He deserves a seat. He's not a number one team driver. He's not a number one driver at a good team. He is a fine driver, but it's a crap car. And so I don't have a good yardstick for Bortoletto when he drags that car into the points. Should it be there all the time? Don't know. Same with Haas. Same with RB. But we do know that for Mercedes. And so I think it's a harsh curve he's being judged against. And that's why I
Yeah.
would say that would it be better? Maybe. I don't think any of these guys really teach that much. I think they're all in it for themselves and they'll share car data and like insights on the tracks. But are they walking over there and like teaching them how to turn a corner and like, oh, in turn one, what you want to do is you're going to go left a little further than you think, brake 10 meters later, and then hard right and downshift twice and brake bias 55%. And like, oh, yeah, that's the magic bullet right there. No, that's not happening. So like in
Although
my mind,
actually,
yeah.
we do see Lewis still doing that sometimes with Kimmy. So maybe you don't need to be on the same team to have a mentor that can guide you through it. Maybe we are being a bit harsh on Kimmy because he's in. Like I think you summed it up. You took my little kind of two-liner about are we being too harsh on Kimmy. You regurgitated it for 6 hours, but made a much better point than I did. So yeah, sorry, Kimmy. Maybe when we recut this team in a year's time, you'll be our number one driver.
And
But
for the record, Senor Antonelli, I had you in there. I gave you up. I gave you up for Liam to leave, but that's okay.
but what you did demote him after I convinced you that we should have Bort in there. And talking of Bortoletto, he's going to be absolutely inundated with mobbing of the fans next
And
week.
ticket requests.
Oh my gosh! So Gabriel Bortoletto will be going to race his home race, the Brazilian Grand Prix next week. And let's move on to our little preview then. Held since 1972, It's one of these circuits. No, sorry, it's one of these Grand Prix that has visited different circuits along the time. Interlagos 72 to 77, 78 was in Rio, 79 back to Interlagos, 81 to 89 back to Rio again. They really couldn't make their minds up. And then 1990 to today is Interlagos, one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. Um, it's a short one, so we get to enjoy it 71 times in terms of laps of a 2.677 mile circuit. It's one of these ones where they haven't messed with it too much. It's if you look at the Wikipedia page, it's kind of in its third major incarnation of its layout, but it's been pretty much the same since 1990 with just a few little tweaks here and there.
I think
And
it
it
had
usually
more.
delivers drama.
It usually delivers drama. It had more infield before, right? More, it had like
Yeah,
another little sort of zigzag on the
I think so, yeah.
infield, and they removed that, which I think shortened the track a little, but made it a little faster, which is fun.
Yeah, I just love turn one. I love the
Yes.
slight elevation. It's not Kota climb by any stretch of the imagination, but what it does have at the end of its climb is one mother of a downhill to the left. Just sort of just it's kind of like I always liken, and I've probably said it on this pod before when we've talked about Brazil, but I always liken it to that when you're on a roller coaster and you're on your way up to the first drop, and it's like that, and then it releases at the point where the roller coaster is just going to go. And that's kind of what it feels like happens at turn one. They all charge up to the top of the hill and then sharp left hander and down, and there's usually crashes.
Always. You know what I love about it as well that I don't think we talk enough about, and I thought about this over the last few days since Mexico. I like the way the track ends, the lap ends,
Hmm.
because I'm going by memory here. Is it turn 12, which is sort of the gentle left, which brings you onto the straight? So you basically hit the gas for an elongated period of time, full throttle. And if you launch out of, I guess, 11, and I'm probably off by one number, but if you launch out of the last real corner and you get a good launch, you can be right behind the guy in front of you by the time you get to the DRS section. And now you have to figure out how you want to go around them, outside or inside, because now the next corner you described, turn one, is coming up. And the line you take is critical in how you want to do that. And it's used differently by everybody, mainly inside, but you see people go to the outside too. But I
I,
love the way it ends because it allows that slingshot down the straight and you can pass people. That's one of the reasons I love China. And I get a lot of grief because I'm such a big fan of the Chinese track layout. But you have like those two straights, the back straight, which is huge, and then you have that 90-degree corner, and then you have kind of like the straight right before the pit straight. And there's overtaking possibilities. So, for example, if Max were right behind Charles and Oscar is right behind Ali, which we just saw in Mexico, those are possible overtakes on the second half of the lap. Whereas in Mexico, you have the stadium. No one's ever passed anyone in the stadium. So, like, you get to the stadium, you're done, and then you just wait for it to get to the start finish straight. I love the idea of the way the lap ends in Brazil, launching cars towards the start finish line. We've had many times, even recently with Checo and Fernando, where they were going after each other right up to the final lap at the start finish line. You couldn't tell who was in front of who. I mean, like, that's
yeah,
awesome, and we get that from
it's
Interlagos.
you're absolutely right. I actually never thought of that. The kind of the positioning of the checkered flag makes a huge difference as to how exciting the drag to the checkered flag is. Because if if Brazil finished a corner 11, I'm just looking at a map now, it would have been after all the little windy infield bit where almost,
Right.
yeah, sometimes you get some overtakes, but not really. Really, that whole complex of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is setting you up for the 11, 12, and then to your point, you come off 12. And if you're slightly out of line there, or you don't get a good traction out of that, you're screwed through 13, 14, 15. That whole
Which are
it's not
gentle
really
corners.
it's
Those
not
are
really
high
three
speed.
corners. It's
Yeah.
big one left hander all the way up to the start finish
Yeah.
straight. So you're right. The positioning of how it sets you up for a charge to the finishing line means we do see some classic racing here. And talking of classic racing, although maybe it wasn't classic racing, maybe it was classic rain mastery. Last year we had a sprint weekend, and in the sprint, yeah, it was fairly kind of. mm, I say straightforward. McLaren won two in the sprint ahead of Charles, and right at the end, after even though Oscar had led it for the entire time, they swapped positions to give Lando some extra points to try and chase down Max because we were getting to the sharp end of the season. Lando had a chance of catching Max, and this was the point where McLaren was becoming more of a rocket ship, so they tried to maximize it. And then a teaser trailer for what to unfold came in. For the first time in 5 years since Japan 2019, we did not have quali on the day we were supposed to because a monsoon came in and quali got cancelled and it got pushed to the same day as race day. Um, that monsoon and the rain was a theme for the rest of the race weekend. Um, quali had 5 red flags as we just had crash after crash after crash. We ended up with a starting 10 of Lando, George, Yuki, Ocon, Liam, Charles, Albon, Oscar, Fernando, and Stroll. That's right. I haven't mentioned the word Max in there at all. He didn't get through to Q3. I think he was knocked out in Q2 and finished 11th or 12th, and then got a 5 place penalty. I think he starts 17th in the end for the race. So I think he qualified 11th or 12th. We even got a did not start because Albon had a massive smash. He was the cause of one of the red flags. And it's like, oh, well, he'll probably just borrow the other car, like when he took the one off Sargent
Sergeant,
that
yeah.
time. No, because one of the other red flags had been caught by Colapinto when he was in the Williams and he'd already smashed the other Williams up. So that's the problem when it's on the same day as the race. There was just no way they were going to fix it. So, yeah, it was just a mess. Do you remember the aborted start?
I do. And was it because of Lance? Wasn't this?
Uh, this is the one where they went round. Something happened.
I can't remember
They
why they had
decided
the
to
aborted
do.
start, but yes,
They
I remember.
started to. They threw the aborted start protocol, and I think Lando, you're right. I think he was the first domino that misunderstood or didn't misremembered or whatever the protocol was supposed to be. The aborted start is supposed to be you stay in place, all the grid comes back on again. And it's like a red flag, I think. But he
Yeah.
thought it was for another formation lap, so he took off and then took about another 4 or 5 cars with him that kind of went, oh, I guess we're going round again then. And the other half of them all sat there going, guys, you're not supposed to go around again. So we had that. Lots of people jumping for the rule book to kind of go, oh, are these cars going to get disqualified now because they've done an extra lap? Are the others on the lead lap anymore? What's going on?
I do remember that. That was phenomenal. And regardless whether it was caused by Lance or not, what he did was fantastic. He had an issue where he went off the track, and whether it was on the formation lap or in the first couple laps, he goes off the track and he's on an escape road around a gravel trap. And he's pointed in the wrong direction. And he says, oh, you know what? I'm going to get back on the track. And instead of staying on, I don't know, the concrete, he decides to drive through the gravel, at which point it had been raining for something like 14 days in a row. And the minute the rear wheels hit the gravel, just sunk like a brick into the gravel. And he's like, Dad, I'm stuck. And then they had to rescue the Aston Martin before. I think it was on the formation. Now I'm going to have to go look. I
I
forgot
think you might be
about
right.
Lance
That's why I
doing
said
that.
I wasn't sure. But yeah, that was his amazing attempt at driving across really wet gravel that lasted for about half a second before it was doomed to failure. So then we finally got started, and this was just Max at his absolute rain mastery best. He made up 11 places by lap 12 to be from 17th up to 6th with just slicing through people like
He,
he was driving in the dry and everyone else was driving in the wet. It was
it was
just
unbelievable. I mean, honestly, like Max, a four-time champion, generational talent, just a guy who loves racing. For me, that's on his resume of some of the best. One of the best drives Max has ever had was Brazil 24 in that rain. He did things no one else could do.
one of the things someone could do that no one else could do was get beached and get marshals to get them going again, and then become one of the first cars black flagged for 1,000 years, where they got disqualified. Poor old Holt. I think he would have got it going. We saw a picture of him marooned on a curb after he'd spun out. And it's like, oh, he might be able to get this going again. And before he could even think about trying to get it going, some eager marshals ran out and said, don't worry, guys, we got you. A little push, get you going again. Yeah.
And then like he just kept racing. Like no one was going to notice the onboard of three marshals pushing on the front of the car to get him unbeached. I'm like, you're done, buddy.
Yeah, they didn't touch me. It was my momentum carried me over the over the curb. And there was so much on this one. I just decided just to sum it up by just rain, 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 and more rain. We ended up getting red flags, and it kind of the timing of the red flags, and it kind of screwed some people that had already stopped. And the net of all of this was that Ocon, Max, and the gas man jumped ahead of Norris and George. So at the restart, we've kind of got Ocon leading Max from the other Alpine and the gas man, and Ocon got clear, and we were all like, "Oh my God, are we going to watch Ocon win a race?" And the person who's not going to be on his Christmas card list is Carlos Sainz, because Carlos Sainz crashed and brought out another safety car. And at that restart, Max was like, you might have got me once, but it ain't happening again. He got him at the restart and ended up miles clear, but he ended up miles clear of the two Alpine boys, and we were so happy doing this review of look at this podium.
Crazy, crazy, and somehow, I mean, basically they were. I was gonna say they were so bad. They're just as bad this year. Can you imagine a double Alpine podium all of a sudden? It would just be Franco and the gas man up there with Max. Interestingly, you mentioned Carlos not being on his Christmas card list for Ocon. There was, God, I forgot where I saw it. There was something that said how Charles was so appreciative of his former teammate for having the pit stop limiter brake on his car, and Carlos had to get the double waved yellows, which turned to the VSC and saved Charles from getting overtaken probably by Max. And so they said, well, they were teammates. It's C squared all over again. Ferrari power, good job. No, no. Who's Carlos's best friend on the grid? Lando. Carlando's been a thing forever. What that meant was Max got less points in his challenge against Carlos, and Oscar got less points in his challenge against Lando. So both of his title rivals were stuck behind someone they could have passed and didn't because Carlos said, Lando's in trouble, and he just pulled over on the side and lit the car on fire. So
I
there
got
you
you,
go.
buddy.
I got you. You're good. And I'm sure he went by with his thumb up as his car's on
Did
fire. All
you
good.
did you see the conspiracy theories online of like Sainz did it on purpose by parking his car halfway into the escape road so that it was sticking out on track? Because if he'd have just gone forward 10 more feet, the car would have been completely off track. And it's like, he's not allowed to do that. He would have been blocking an emergency vehicle in if
Right.
he'd gone any further. Carlos did everything right. He took it to an easy spot where they could recover it quickly. I agree with a lot of the commentary that probably could have been moved on the double yellows. It probably didn't need the
I
VSC.
think the
They
fire
got
aspect, it was smoking a lot, and they had to get out there with fire extinguishers just to be
yeah,
safe.
maybe.
That, I think, is why they were on track. I agree with Carlos stopped it where he should. What do you want him to do? You want him to drive in through the fence, the crash fence, and then just maybe keep driving a little and tour Mexico City a little while he's off the track already? I mean, come on now. He did what he was
Yeah.
supposed to do. The marshals did what they were supposed to do. Did
Anyway,
they
getting
need
back
the
to Brazil,
VSC? Maybe not, but I think the rationale behind it was, hey, we just had two guys almost get killed by running in front of Liam, which none of us knew. And then all of a sudden they're like, wait, we got to send marshals on track. Well, it's in the stadium and it's on the side. They'll probably be fine, but let's just throw a VSC to be safe because they got to put this
maybe
potential fire
actually.
out. So,
Maybe, given that they probably knew about that little infringement while we didn't, then maybe it's weighing on their mind. But
yeah.
what I did think when I saw Colossine's car being parked inside like that, is I thought, why don't I ignore that and get back to our Brazil preview? Because that's what we're actually talking about. That's what
Oh,
really
yeah.
went off in my head.
Fast
Yeah.
forward. I got a case of
Yeah.
the Pauls. What we're going to do is we're recording ahead of the race, but we're going to get back to the race instead of talking about last week's race, which is closer to us now than next one's.
So that result for Max essentially ended Lando's charge for the title. Doesn't Max like wrap it up the next race or the race after? Pretty
Yep.
much, it was this. This is one where Lando needed to carry on eating into the lead, and he didn't. So Max won it. Alpine double. If we look at the repeat winners, Alain Prost is away at the top on 6. Reutemann and Schumacher on 4. Then we actually get to some kind of current drivers down here. We have 3 on Vettel, Hamilton, and Verstappen, and then too many for me to read out on 2. But there's loads of them, and none of them are current drivers. So
But a lot of
there we go.
Brazilians there. And
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Lewis, an
true.
honorary Brazilian. Gabby, an actual Brazilian. So we got a lot of excitement. I think we'll see watching people cheer for Lewis, for Gabby, I'm just really looking forward to it.
Yep. And then constructor wise, it's 12 for McLaren, 11 for Ferrari, 7 for Red Bull, 6 for Williams and Mercedes, 3 for Brabham, 2 for Renault and Benetton. So smart money's probably on a McLaren adding to the 12 and becoming 13, but you never know. We saw a little bit maybe of a Ferrari resurgence, and I got way over optimistic last week in watching Charles be fast.
What about
Maybe a
Max?
Merc or a Red Bull can get there as
Yeah, I was
well.
gonna say, what about Max? Don't
Yeah,
don't
well,
count on
if it
Max.
doesn't rain, this will be a little bit, I think, like characteristics wise, the same way that we saw Max not be as fast in Mexico. If everything's equal and then the rain heavens don't open, I think McLaren maybe have got the edge, but I'm sure Max will be doing a rain dance to try and repeat last year.
Probably.
Right, now I know you've got technology problems here where you're looking at like
I'm ready.
a postage stamp level of a screen, but can you get the casino game roulette site up to spin? Oh, yes, you can. Okay, so we have to do our. If this is a low one, keep it. If not, you can spin it again when
It's
I
a low one.
explained
I'm
it.
keeping it, but explain it.
Okay, right. So For anyone who's not listened before, we have a whole season competition of Rob versus Brian. Part of it is our podium predictions that we will do midweek. And the other part of it comes from our casino games, where we have 3 games that we play. We have roulette, where we spin the roulette wheel like Brian just did, and it will give us a track position that we have to guess who finishes in that position. We then have blackjack, where we need to pick 2 drivers. We sum their points that they score together and see who can get closest to 21 without going bust. Brian did last week with 22.
Oh, so
Ouch.
close.
And then our last one is 3 card poker, where we might have to make a hand where we pick 3 cards and hope that they finish in a line. If they finish in a line and in the wrong order, that's great. But the best hand that you can't beat is if you happen to pick all 3 drivers in the right order, which we've never done.
Well, the good news is, as Rob referenced, roulette. Let's talk about where we think people will finish based on the roulette wheel's number. We've done this a bunch, and we always get like 18, 19, 20, 14, 11, 18. No joke, 3. That's why we're keeping it.
Oh,
We're keeping it. This is a tough one to guess. I love it. 3 is.
you're up first. If you see, I've put in the notes. I've reminded
I
myself
did.
who's first.
So I'm going to use the template a lot today. The old template that hasn't worked for a while. I'm going to talk about Max and McLaren. And so who's going to finish third? Oscar. I've got Oscar F. Piastri. Not quite the form he had before, but more on it than he has been recently. He'll find some of that dust, and he'll have his magic dust back. Oscar, third step of the podium.
Okay, I have to go all in on my bravado of a minute ago, where I'm so sure that McLaren are going to add to the list and assume that they take the top 2 steps. So I'm going to put Max on in third. Right, blackjack, blackjack, blackjack. I got to remind myself of the points because it's just dangerous to pick someone who's going to finish too high up because that's what ruined you last time. So we're 25, 18, 15, 12. What we're really looking for, the perfect is third and seventh to get 21, or maybe, sorry, yeah. Or, hmm, okay. I did well last week by just coming in with a steady score, and then you went too greedy and got the big points.
The
So
big points, I got a
I'm,
22 out of 20.
I know, the big points. So I'm going to go for a Merc double. I'm going to say
No,
George
that's
and Kimmy.
exactly what I was going to do.
No!
No! I had the Mercedes boys all teed up. Now I got nothing. I can't go Ferrari boys again because they gave me 22 last time, and you got in my head, and they're doing better, and maybe the car will work. It won't work, and I don't know what to do. All right, man, George and Kimmy. All right,
Based on your previous thing, you've got to swerve both McLaren boys and Max because at least one
100%.
of those is winning and sending you bust, right?
Totally, and that's why I thought, and so I'm afraid Ferrari will be too good here. Lewis is going to perform well. I really think Lewis may outperform Charles just because he loves Brazil so much, and but I'm afraid to put Charles up too high because what if they're back? And then after that, what am I staring at? Like Isaac? And you really bank a lot of points on a rookie, even though he is our number one driver on the dirty side rookie team? The answer is yes, you do that. I'm going with Isaac
Yeah.
and Charles.
Ooh, okay. I like the way you've mixed that up there. I mean, I'm massively at risk here, as if the like we say, weather crashes, whatever. If George gets one of his race wins or podium, I'm done. I'm toast.
You are, for sure. Three
Right,
card
you first
poker.
with a 3 card poker.
I'm going back, like I said, to the template. And so you already know in third I will have Oscar. I'm going Max, Lando, Oscar.
Okay. I'm gonna go with it'll be one of those the animals go 2 by 2 as we always kind of see. So I'm gonna go with your optimism that you brought me into the Lewis optimism. So I'm gonna say Lewis will then beat Charles, who will come in just ahead of George. George will be in a position scoring him decent points for my poker hand, but not too many. So Lewis, Charles, George is what I'll go for.
We've constructed a beautiful alternate reality that will definitely not come true.
Yeah, you watch. The rain comes down, massive crash in the first corner. Bortoletto wins from Stroll and Colapinto. No other cars finish.
Just like Monaco 96. Olivier Panis has won the race. Who?
Oh man. Oh well, there we are. I think that's that, isn't it? So we've look forward to Brazil. We'll look forward to our midweek predictions, and then I'm trying to remember. Is it sprint this time? Is Brazil a sprint? No, you're giving like I'm just have to. We can't not know this as America's leading Formula One podcast. Let me just check the app real
There
quick.
are two left,
Powered
and
by
Qatar is one of
powered
them.
by Salesforce. Come on, Salesforce, power
I'm
it a bit
pretty sure
quicker
it
than that.
is. I don't think they made
You're pretty
Vegas
sure
one.
you're going to go in on it on that it is, yeah?
Yeah, there's two left, and Qatar's one, and I don't think they do Vegas.
Ooh, how big a feel do you have that it is?
I'm gonna bet 75 cents.
75 cents. Well done. Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. It is a sprint. So from for my time on Eastern here, everything's pretty sweet actually. Practice is at like 9:30 in the morning. Sprint quali is at 1:30 in the afternoon. Sprint itself is 9 in the morning. Quali is 1 in the afternoon, and the race is midday. So it's for us here in the States a pretty sweet set of times.
Love it. Rob, anything else for you this week, sir?
Nothing from me, sir.
Well, we appreciate everyone listening. This was a lot of fun. I think our rookie team is going to be good next year. And I can't wait for Brazil. Everyone, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you in 1 week's time.